Hey, do you want to build your own home recording studio for less than €1,500? We did exactly this here, and we're going to show you how. So today we are here at the home recording studio of Marius. Hello Marius.
Hi Patrick.
He's better known as MIKLU. We have been working together for a while. He was recording his stuff at home, sending it to me for mixing, and he wanted to up his game and get a nicer room to record in. What was your old studio like?
Just a small chamber, maybe like a third of everything you can see here. Basically cut from here all the way through, and I made a separate recording booth because I was a beginner and I thought a recording booth is necessary.
Why did you think you needed it?
I don't know, YouTube made me think it. Because everyone also who came in here said, wow, the recording booth is nice. Of course, they didn't have a plan like me, yeah. But everyone said, wow, you have a recording booth, that's cool. And the more I get to know about everything, which includes recording and sound design and everything and room treatments, I realized it's complete bullshit.
Yeah.
So guys, you don't need a booth. What you need is an open, nice, acoustically treated room, like Patrick helped me to get one. And here we will show you how we did it.
The problem with small isobooth is that small rooms sound like crap always. They have so much resonance, and the resonance are so high in frequency that they are right in the middle of your actual signal. If you're recording vocals in a tiny booth, then you have like resonance around 300, 400, 500 hertz, which is right in the center of your voice. And that's absolutely not what you want. You cannot really treat a small room properly. This is the kind of stuff that is usually used in small isobooths. It's like 3 centimeters in thickness or 5 centimeters, and this only captures some very high highs and nothing else. So this is completely useless. What we need is, if we treat a room, we need broadband absorption. It's much better to have a one-room studio like we did here now, get rid of the booth, forget it. You can record anywhere in the room. It's sounding nice everywhere. So that's a big advantage. How is that for you as a workflow change?
Yeah, it's a game changer completely. Because even like with this microphone, I just use it for mumbling melodies or something, but even this microphone sounds way better than my good microphone in the old booth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the old booth, it sounded like...
boxy. It's always like boxy.
Completely like this. If you were shouting, it was completely... As soon as you spoke it out, it was gone. And here I have my chair, and here's my microphone. So whenever I feel ready to make a final take, I stand up. Here I got my headphones, I put them on, straight record into this. And I can put the mic basically everywhere in the room. It doesn't matter. And this is, for me, yeah, like I said, a game changer completely.
Okay, let's dive in. How do we build a proper little home recording studio room? There are 3 key points. The first is, where do I put my stuff? Where is the desk? Where are the speakers going to be? We have to look at the room and decide where to put everything. The second is, we need some proper treatment so that the room sounds nice everywhere in the room. The third is, there are a lot of mistakes that you can avoid. And yes, building an iso booth is one of them. So if we look at this room, we didn't have a ton of options where to put the desk and the speakers. It was either this way, the way it is actually now, or facing that way so that the room would be long towards the back. But here we have the little problem that there is a window.
Yeah, basically you have a street in front of the window. It's like a little alley or something, and like with bike stances and everything. So people put their bikes there. And for me, it's annoying because I always get distracted when I see the shadows of the people in front of my window. So this was like my little problem. Then we decided to put the desk here.
And somehow if you're sitting in that orientation, it also feels more spacious than if you have the walls close left and right to your side. So this way the room felt the most symmetric, because you don't want a too asymmetric room just to get like an even stereo field when you're listening to your music. That's also pretty important. So basically, if you want to decide where to put your stuff, think about 2 main things. Is, where would you feel the most comfortable sitting? If you come into the room, What would you like to look at? What would feel nice to you? It's pretty important because you're going to spend some time in here and you want to feel comfortable. The second thing is symmetry. If you can somehow, don't put it into a corner or into an unsymmetric spot in the room. Try to have equal space towards both side walls and just get a symmetric setup for your speakers in the room. That's pretty important. Okay, now we decided where we put the desk. Now let's zoom in into the working area. There are 2 or 3 very important parts that you have to consider here. Speaker placement. It's very important to put the speakers in an equilateral triangle. So that means that the 2 speakers and your head form a triangle with equal sides. That way you have a perfect stereo image. If they are too wide, you lose the center. If they're too narrow, you don't have stereo anymore. So that's the proper way to set up speakers. Then speaker height. I have seen some people put their speakers on the desk, but they need to be at ear height. If I'm sitting here, then I have the speakers at the height of my ears. This is the way it's supposed to be. The next thing is distance from the walls. I know, it's not $1 million studio, it's a home recording setup, so sometimes you don't have the space and you need to be a little bit closer to the wall, but if you can move away a little bit, the speakers will sound better, less reflections from the wall.
One thing I decided to go with is a big table. Usually you should use a smaller table like Patrick told me, but for me it was important that I have a lot of space because I'm writing here also. Sometimes I have a lot of stuff on my table. Not many people do this. I do it, so I decided to go with a big desk.
But he didn't want to listen to me. But no. It's a compromise. You have to make it workable. So if he needs some space on the desk, then yeah, he needs some space on the desk. But if you can and you find that you don't need a lot of table surface, go with something very small so you don't have the big reflection points on the table from the speakers to your ears, and your sound will be much better. Now let's talk about room treatment. Very, very, very important and often overlooked. So what do we need to treat a room properly? We need some bass straps. Yes. Everyone needs bass straps. We need some broadband absorption. We need some ceiling panels because you don't want any reflections from the ceiling either. And then sometimes curtains are a really good option because they are flexible and they look pretty nice. Okay, what are bass straps? Bass straps are basically really thick, giant absorbers. The bigger the thickness of the absorber, the lower the frequency that you are absorbing. And if you want to get rid of some 60, 70, 80 hertz things, you need large absorbers. And one good point to put them is in the corners. If you ever stand in a corner while music is playing, you will hear that the bass is piling up. You hear a woofy sound. So if you place some absorbers in the corner, you will remove some bass energy from the room. Don't cheap out on the bass traps.
Like I did. In the beginning, I had like, in width, they were like this, okay? And they, of course, they looked like for an amateur or something, they looked like professional, but they didn't do anything. If you make a bass strap, you need a big one.
At the end of the day, make your bass straps as large as you can. Put them in the corner and don't forget the top corners, because many people only think about vertical corners, but hey, you have corners all around the room. So if you don't want to lose a surface area, you can put bass straps in the top corners as well. That's actually what we did here. We have a giant big bass strap over here. You cannot see what's inside here, but basically you need any kind of absorbing material, be that some rock wool panels or
you do it like me. I bought this stuff back then for good money. And of course I didn't want to throw it away. And we took this
and we stuffed the corner full of it. So one panel of this is worth nothing, but if you have like 1 meter in thickness of this, then it's actually starting to do something. Now let's have a look at broadband absorbers. We have to first check reflection points in the room. The speakers are pointing towards the back wall. So if we don't want the sound to bounce off that back wall here and just come back into our neck and mess up the sound, we need some kind of absorber here. So we put a large broadband absorber right in the back here. And to make it even better, a big curtain on top of it. We definitely need some absorbers behind the speakers because sound is going to bounce off the back of the speaker to the wall and coming back at you. And you don't want any comb filtering happening. So you have the direct sound and then the sound bouncing off the wall coming back at you. They are going to mix up in a weird way and just fuck up your sound. So we need big absorbers behind the speakers. And then there is one thing, the smaller the room gets, the more you would want to try and get it dry. Because like small, fast reflections coming from a smallish room, they are always going to be detrimental to your sound. So let's try and make the space as controlled as possible. A next big important thing that is often overlooked in home studios is you have a ceiling. That's a big reflection area as well. So put up some panels on the ceiling. In this case, an easy way to do it is these are some Basotect panels. They are super light and they are easy to attach to any wall.
Yeah, I just did it with some strings.
Yeah, you have really to treat every kind of reflection points, the sides, behind the speakers, behind your back and on the ceiling. All these points need to be treated with absorbent materials so that you have a clean sound coming out from the speakers to your ears. And finally, a really good option if you don't want to build a lot of absorbers or want to stay somewhat flexible and maybe change the room back to a normal room during the day when you're not working, use some curtains with really, really heavy fabric. This is special fabric that we bought at an action sale from a company called Garrett's. They make big opera houses and everything. And what's left over for them is a huge amount of cloth for people like us. So how much did you pay for the total of these curtains? Was like 300-400 euro.
35 meters of curtain, and I paid for it around $400. And usually it would have been 5 times of the price if you buy it not from an action sale.
I will link to that store down there, so in case you are in Europe, might be a good source for you to get that cloth. If you cannot get like dedicated acoustic cloth, just any real heavy and thick fabric will probably do. If you want to put the curtain, don't put it really next to the wall. Leave a little bit of space. This is going to increase how well they work, especially in the low end. The further away from the wall, the more low end they will also absorb. That's really a big thing.
I love the look of the curtains. It was one of the main things why I even bought them. Of course, Patrick told me it would be like a finishing touch for the sound, but like I said, the look is really expensive and I like it. I like the red color mixed with the other colors I have here. So maybe consider this also as a style point.
Absolutely. Also the fabric that you would use if you build yourself some absorbers and the curtains, you can really choose your colors and make it cozy, because coziness is definitely a big factor.
Yep.
Speaking of building the absorbers, we built them ourselves and it's really easy to do. I think I'm going to do a follow-up video where I rebuild one of those modules just to show you exactly how easy it is and how quick it is. It's basically 4 pieces of wood screwed together, stuffed with, in this case, it's wood fiber panels, which have a high degree of absorption, and they are really friendly to work with, as opposed to rock wool sheets that are dusty and itchy. So, and I checked them and they really have very high absorption grade. I will also link to what exactly we used here in the description below. And then finally, when you have your frame, basic frame, put in that stuff. I used some ropes to just keep the material inside. And then we put some nice fabric on top. And this is like, I think these were bed sheets, no?
No, it's from IKEA, like $8 for 3 square meters or something like this. We just staple nailed them in the wood. That's it. Looks nice.
Yeah. A last final thing is you can consider putting in a carpet. First of all, it's cozy, and then it will also remove a little bit of high-end reflection from the floor. There is one thing, maybe try not to make your room completely dead. Leave a couple of reflective surfaces or add in a couple of diffusers if you can.
Ah.
Huh?
You remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Lights?
Yeah, we had a funny thing here that he didn't notice in the old room.
You couldn't hear it.
You couldn't hear
was
it.
impossible.
When did I notice it? I was standing on the ladder doing something and I heard some rattling going on. And I thought, oh, what the heck is that? It was the cover of the lamps that was just buzzing. It was like thin metal sheets and they were vibrating.
You started to hear it when we had the broadband stuff here, the bass traps, basically everything you need to have a good sound. Then you started to hear those small mistakes. And I never heard it, and it was so annoying. I will show you how this thing looks so you know what we're talking about.
That was the thing. It was just a lamp cover and yeah.
I put it to my microphone, you can hear it. Did you hear the reflection? And this was 4 times here on the roof. And it started making us crazy, but you never heard it in like in the normal day life. You never heard it. When the room was treated, it was a problem.
For my personal taste, like big light from the ceiling is not cozy at all. So look at this now, a couple candles, a couple colored lamps. It's also nice not only to have a nice sounding room, but also nice looking. If you want to spend a lot of time, you would like to have an inviting, cozy atmosphere to be in. All right, we promised you some no-gos when setting up a home studio. I will start with speaker placement. I don't know how many pictures I've seen with people putting their speakers on the table. Big no, because you need the speakers at ear height to hear what's coming out of them. You don't want to point them at your chest and only hear desk reflections. No.
Big no-go, and I know it's a myth, but you don't need a booth. Don't build it, don't use it, it sounds crap. Take the money, invest it in a nice room with a nice acoustic treatment, and you have a lot more flexibility recording wherever you want, which will make your workflow better and also, of course, your recordings.
Next big no-no is focusing on looks rather than acoustics. I'll give you one example. I've seen so many setups with a bazillion screens even blocking the speakers. Set up your speakers and your desk first, and then add in stuff so that it doesn't block your sound or doesn't sound worse than with what you started with.
Next no-go, foam panels. It looks amateur, it sounds amateur, it costs a lot of money and it doesn't do anything. Don't buy it, don't use it. Of course, I have it in the background here. It's from the old days, so I decided to leave it, maybe also as a kind of a reminder, but you don't need it.
Another no-no, don't set up your stuff asymmetrically in the room. If you can, leave equal space to the walls, put your stuff in the center of the room and get a symmetric build-up of everything.
Next advice, don't spend your money on useless stuff. And with useless, I mean not that the stuff is useless, but maybe that you don't need it for your workflow. When I started to up my game year by year, I asked Patrick, hey, I need a new interface, I need a new microphone, I need a new preamp. And he said, why? Your stuff sounds good. And anyway, I mix it. The end mix is always done by him. So why do I need it? And I was like, yeah, but I want like to feel professional and to get better recordings. And he said, yeah, okay, then invest in a new microphone, maybe. And so I bought me this one for 350 euro because I wanted more clarity, more sizzle. And I got it for 350 euro. Of course, he could name me microphones for like 3, 5, 8,000 bucks. But why should I use it? And now I have the money, which I can spend in a nicely treated room, and I enjoy making music again more and more. And like I said, even this microphone here sounds way better in this room than my good microphone in the old booth.
The big takeaway from this is, if you want to spend some money on your home setup, spend it wisely. There is no need to get a Neve 1073 preamp for 3,000 euro if your room is crap. Fix the room first. Do a priority list. Acoustics first, coziness maybe even next, because you're going to spend time in and want to be creative and feel nice. I think a new interface or better converters or something is pretty far away in the priority list. acoustics is really #1. And I'm really proud that you listened to me and did what I told you. He has a great room now, it's sounding great. I knew the recordings that he made before because I got everything to mix. It sounds so much better. It just sounds natural, not cramped.
Even the raw recordings are now
Totally.
better than some of the stems I mixed. So let's talk about the cash.
How much was the whole thing here?
The total amount was under 1,500 euro. We spent like 400, 450 euros for the curtains, I think. We spent 300 euro for the bass straps and for the material for the broadband absorbers. Make 100 more, it's like 400 euros. So we're in total around 850. Ceiling panels were 100.
Yeah, and then some small parts, screws and some wood for the frames and everything.
Yeah.
It all sums up to more or less 1,500 euros, slightly below 3, 4, 5 days of work. Yeah, 1 day building the modules, 1 day setting them up, 1 day for your mom sewing the curtains.
If you decide to go with these curtains, just be aware of that there may be no attachments for it, so you need to do them yourself, which maybe also includes like a day of work or something.
Yeah, and a couple bucks for the attachments themselves, and
20
some
euros.
rails to hang the curtains. So small parts often add up quite a bit, but yeah, it is definitely doable for a really reasonable amount of money.
Yeah.
Much less than you would spend for a
interface.
bling-bling interface, yeah. So that was our little studio building tour. If you have any more questions, if you forgot something, leave us a question in the comments and I will happily answer every question. And don't forget to check for the follow-up video where I show you how I built one of these broadband absorbers so that you can just copy it and do an inexpensive and really well-working absorber yourself. Thanks for having me here. It was a great project. And yeah,
Thank you
looking
for
forward to
helping me
some-
out, because now I have like a studio where I feel really comfortable with, and also I love every result I get here.